Now on YouTube, it's time for some alternative commentary action with the Commentary Hub.
There's header by Marina, and it's 2-1 to Arsenal.
Look at that pass! Goal for Manchester City!
Takes this corner, whips it in, it's headed and it's a goal, and it's that man, Gabriel.
Liverpool have equalised. Lovely improvisational touch from Curtis Jones.
Oh, what a goal! Wow, take it out!
Hello and welcome to the Commentary Hub's alternative audio coverage of the European Qualifiers playoffs draw. I'm your alternative host, Nicholas Jones, and I will be guiding you through the proceedings and the draw. So before we get on with things further, let's go through who has already qualified for the World Cup, which will take place in Canada, Mexico, and the United States next year. Canada, Mexico, and the United States have automatically qualified as hosts. So let's try and go through each of these let's go through each of them in the order that they have qualified. So Japan was the first team to qualify, and they're followed by New Zealand, Iran, Argentina, and newcomers Uzbekistan, South Korea have been there before. Jordan are a new entrant, and Australia are hoping to make it further than the round of 16. Brazil, ever present, of course, and also Ecuador, Uruguay, and Colombia. Colombia failed to qualify for the last World Cup, so welcome back to them. And also having qualified from South America is Paraguay. So now we go on to the African nations. And the African nations that are qualified are Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, Cape Verde, South Africa, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast. The remaining Asian nations that have qualified, or AFC, which is the Asian Football Confederation, are the hosts from last time, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. And the rest of the nations that have qualified: England, France, Croatia, Portugal, Norway, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Spain, and Scotland. And out of those who are already qualified in CONCACAF, besides the hosts, they are Curacao, Panama, and Haiti. So we're now waiting for the feed. So we're now waiting for the feed for from where I will be watching proceedings, and this will take place at FIFA's headquarters in Zurich, Switzerland. And now the main business of our coverage is the European playoff draw, and the teams that will be, and there are 16 teams that will be participating, of which 12 are the runners-up from the European Qualifiers group stage. And to complete the lineup, 4 additional teams selected on the basis of their UEFA Nations League rankings, and the competing teams are as follows in alphabetical order: Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Czechia, Denmark, Italy, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Northern Ireland, Poland, the Republic of Ireland, Romania, Slovakia, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, and Wales. And now I shall explain the competition format and how it works. 4 paths will be formed, each containing 2 semi-finals and 1 final. And so the 4 paths are in alphabetical order from path A to path D. And the semi-finals and the playoffs will be played in single leg knockout matches. Each playoff path will be composed of 2 semi-final pairings of 1 seeded team and 1 unseeded team, and that would be pot 1 versus pot 4, pot 2 versus pot 3, and so on and so forth. The seeded teams will be drawn to play the playoff semi-final at home, and within each path, the winners of the semi-finals advance to the playoff final. For each playoff final draw, a draw will be conducted in advance to determine which semi-final winner will play the game at home. As I mentioned just now, in single-leg knockout matches, and the semi-finals will be scheduled to take place on the 26th of March 2026, with the finals taking place on the 31st of March. The standard kickoff times of 7:45 and 5 o'clock UK times will be applied. Once the 16 teams constituting the playoffs have been determined, the 12 runners-up will be ranked first to 12 on the basis of the FIFA Men's World Ranking, which was drawn only 2 days prior. And based on the rankings, as I should remind you, pot 1 is composed of the top seeded European qualifying teams. That's ranked first to 4th. Pot 2 will be composed of the seeded European qualifying teams ranked 5th to 8th. Pot 3 is composed of the unseeded European qualifying teams ranked 9th to 12th. And pot 4 is composed of the unseeded UEFA Nations League teams ranked 13th to 16th. And the draw will start with pot 1 and end with pot 4. And in pot 1 is Italy. In pot 1 will be Italy, Denmark, Turkey, and Ukraine. Pot 2 will have Poland, Wales, Czechia, and Slovakia, sorry. Pot 3, the Republic of Ireland, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kosovo. Pot 4, Sweden, Romania, North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland. And here's how the procedure will work. The draw will start with pot 1 and end with pot 4. And the 4 playoff paths will be formed as follows. Pot 1, it is the 4 top-seeded UEFA qualifying teams. They'll be allocated to semi-finals 1, 3, 5, and 7 in the order drawn. Pot 2 will be drawn. The teams from pot 2 will be drawn to the first available position of semi-finals 2, 4, 6, and 8. Whilst pot 3 will repeat the same procedure, and pot 4 will be drawn to the first, and the teams from pot 4 will be drawn to the first available position of semi-finals 1, 3, 5, and 7. And needless to say, the winners of the 4 playoff finals will qualify for the World Cup 2026 and will thereby complete the field of 16 European participants. As for additional guidelines, teams of the same path shall seek bilateral agreements that clarify the on-site arrangements and potential compensation fee based on the net profit that can be generated by the hosts of the semi-finals and final. The hosts of the final, as I mentioned earlier, will be determined after the semi-finals have been played. And as the 2 defeated semi-finalists are asked to play a second match in the international break of March, those teams of the same path shall arrange that a friendly match will take place at the venue that was initially reserved for the final. So that's the housekeeping done, and our feed's gonna be a little, and we are going to be a little after other international draws for the European draw proceedings. So we're going to take a short break, but But so we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back before the before the draw will be conducted. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to our alternative audio coverage of the European Qualifier playoffs draw. And we're just about ready to start with proceedings for the just about ready to start proceedings with the draw. There are pots. There are four stands with pots A to parts A to D, and then pots 1 to 4. So the FIFA president Gianni Infantino doing a little speech, and also no doubt explaining the rules. And so let's run through our teams again. They are Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Czechia, Denmark, Italy, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Northern Ireland, Poland, the Republic of Ireland, Romania, Slovakia, Sweden, Turkey, Ukraine, and Wales. So the final few formalities just about going on, and so to remind you of how the draw works, it starts with pot 1 and ends with pot 4, and the 4 playoff paths will be formed as follows. The 4 top seeded European qualified teams are allocated to semi-finals 1, 3, 5, and 7 in the order drawn. In pot 2, pots 2 and 3 will have the same rule of being drawn to the first available position of semi-finals 2, 4, 6, and 8. Those are the 4 seeded and unseeded European qualifier teams, while pot 4 has the 4 unseeded Nations League teams, which are they'll be drawn to the first available position of semi-finals 1, 3, 5, and 7. And also to remind you that the games are to take place between the 26th and 31st of March 2026. The semi-finals should take place on the 26th, and the standard kickoff times in UK time will be 7:45 and 5 o'clock. The finals will take place on the 31st of March, and path A will 4 paths will be formed, containing 2 semi-finals and 1 final, with paths A they are paths A, B, C, and D, 2 semi-finals in each path, and the playoff final. So Melanie Vinegar, I've just found out her name is explaining proceedings, and another FIFA legend, Marco Materazzi, will actually be doing the draw will actually be helping out with the draw for the European playoffs draws. Of course, one of the squad that won the 2006 World Cup with Italy. So I was wrong about Christian Cariambu doing the draw. It's actually going to be Marco Materazzi, and he is a FIFA legend, as he has a chat with Melanie. He now goes over to the 4 pots as we prepare to get going for the European qualifier playoffs draw. In fact, he's not alone. Martin Dallin will be joining them as well. We'll let you know more about him shortly. Martin Dallin, a FIFA legend, who was also part of Sweden, and we will get some more info on him. He was he finished in 3rd in the World Cup in 1994. So Sweden would have been the third place playoff team. I'll just check to make sure. And so we're just about ready to kick off with proceedings. Yes, Sweden beats Bulgaria in the third place playoff round and were thus classified as third. So now we get ready to start. So now we get ready for the draw as the formalities and the rules are being explained to the watching audience. And the stands are lit up in aquamarine blue with the FIFA World Cup 2026 logo. Need I remind you there are 12 teams to be qualified, but also 4 from the Nations League, making a total of 16. And the 12 qualifying, so they are the 12 European qualifying runners-up and the 4 Nations League qualifying teams. And so before we go through further, just remind you one more time who are in the pots. They are in pot 1, Italy, Denmark, Turkey, and Ukraine. Pot 2 has Poland, Wales, Czechia, and Slovakia. Pot 3, the Republic of Ireland, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Kosovo. Pot 4 has Sweden, Romania, North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland. So whilst the draw will determine who will play who in the 4 paths semi-finals, we will let you know which group the winners will be in when we come to do the World Cup draw, which will be on December the 5th. The same will also go for who was in the international playoff draws that took place prior to this. And so we now start the final countdown to the draw, and the pots and the nations in the pots are now being displayed in front of the watching audience. Some have been there before. Others have not, including Albania, who did really well in their group, finishing runner-up to England. And we now start with pot number 1. And as I mentioned in pot 1, Italy, former World Cup winners, former European Championship winners, but they haven't been in the World Cup for a long time. Denmark, another side worth watching. Turkey, famously reached the semi-finals in the 2002 World Cup. Ukraine missed out on qualifying for the World Cup in 2022 when they lost 1-0 to Wales. And so now we begin proceedings with pot number 1, and Marco will draw the first ball to come out. And of those teams that come from pot 1, Italy are the first team drawn out, and they will be the host nation for Path A semi-final 1. Now we move on to the second team to be drawn out. Bit of the ball's being stirred around a bit, and the next And the next team pulled out, Ukraine. So Ukraine will play. So Ukraine will host. So Ukraine will be the host nation of Path B, semi-final 3. And we now we now have 2 teams to go. And the ball's not been shaken about dramatically, just been rolled about a bit. And the host for semi-final 5 will be Turkey. And so Turkey, the first team to be placed into Path C. Now it's now we have only 1 ball left, and we all know who it is. And just to be sure, and for clarification purposes, it is Denmark, runner-up to Scotland in their World Cup qualifying group. Scotland made it through to the World Cup for the first time since 1998. An amazing achievement in itself. So now we have the first teams put together for semi-finals 1, 3, 5, and 7. We can now move on to pot 2, and we have Poland. We have Poland, of course. Wales qualified for the World Cup in 22 for the first time in over 60 years. Czechia hoping to make a mark, reach the quarterfinals of Euro 2020. Slovakia, neighbours, of course, to Czechia, and we can now let proceedings begin. So who will be the first team to go into semi-final 2? As Marco stirs the balls about, and we have Wales. So Wales will be the host nation of semi-final 2. And we can now move on. With proceedings. And the next team to come out of the bowl will be Poland. And so Poland will be the host nation of semi-final 4. So Path B, the host nations, Ukraine and Poland. We now move on to Path C. Czechia and Slovakia remain, and drawn out of the bowl is Slovakia. So Slovakia will be the host nation of semi-final 6. And we have just 1 ball left, and Marco places his hand into the bowl, and the last nation out is, of course, Czechia. So they will host semi-final 8, or rather, they are to be placed into semi-final 8. We will know for sure later on who will be hosting what. So that concludes pot number 2. And we can swiftly move on to pot 3. So the nations in pot 3, need I remind you, the Republic of Ireland did well to qualify as runners-up in their group, second only to Portugal. Albania, second only to England in their group to reach the playoffs at this stage. Quite an achievement. Bosnia and Herzegovina featured in the World Cup in 2014. And Kosovo did well to qualify runner-up in their group. So now we move on to who will take the available spaces for semi-finals 2, 4, 6, and 8. And the ball's being given a quick stir around by Martin Carlin. And the first nation to come out, Bosnia and Herzegovina. They will be up against Wales in the second. They will be up against Wales in semi-final 2. So, who will face Poland in semi-final 4? We shall find out in a moment or two, as the balls are being stirred around, and Martin takes out the second ball, and the team is Albania. So Poland's opponents in semi-final 4 will be Albania. And the next team to be drawn out will be up against Slovakia in semi-final 6. We will know who it is momentarily, and up against Slovakia will be Kosovo. So semi-final 6 is Slovakia against Kosovo. And we can now go on to path D to see who will join Czechia. Only one ball left, and we know only one ball left, and it is of course the Republic of Ireland. So completing semi-final 8, completing semi-final 8, Czechia and the Republic of Ireland. Now we just have the available spaces of semi-finals 1, 3, 5 and 7 to go, as the watching audience look on. Just one more time to remind you of the nations in pot 4. They qualified via their Nations League positions. Sweden finished bottom of their group. Romania famously did well at the World Cup in '94. North Macedonia did well to qualify second in their group. And finally, Northern Ireland. Their last appearance at the World Cup was in 1986. So Sweden, Romania, North Macedonia, and Northern Ireland. So now we get on with proceedings of who will be picked out from pot 4. Martin giving the balls a quick stir, and he unscrews the top, and the first team pulled out is Northern Ireland, and so Northern Ireland will be up against Italy in path A in semi-final 1. Now that is a tough match in itself, being drawn against Italy, but Italy have struggled in World Cup qualifications in recent years, so this could be a blessing in disguise for Northern Ireland. Now, the next team is drawn out, and that is Sweden. Sweden will be up against Ukraine. And we now move on to who will face Turkey in semi-final 5. And everyone looks on expectantly. It will be either Romania or North Macedonia. And the team that has been picked out is Romania. So semi-final 5 will be Turkey against Romania. Now it's on to who will be up against Denmark in semi-final 7, and we already know who it is, but just to make sure, it is North Macedonia. So semi-final 7, Denmark against North Macedonia. That's it. That concludes the draw. That includes the 4 pot draws, and we will now move on to say who will go where in parts A, B, C, and D. Who will be the host nations? Just to clarify, path A, semi-final 1, Italy against Northern Ireland. Semi-final 2, Wales against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Semi-final 3 in path B, Ukraine against Sweden, and Poland against Albania. For path C, semi-final 5, will be Turkey against Romania. Semi-final 6 will have Slovakia against Kosovo. Path D in semi-final 7, it's Denmark against North Macedonia. And in semi-final 8, it will be Czechia against the Republic of Ireland. So we just wait. So we now just wait to see what happens next as we will soon take a look at the paths to see, and the seeded teams will be drawn to play the playoff semi-final path at home and within each point. And so we now move on to the next part of the competition. I mean of the draw. And the winner of semi-final 2 will be hosting the Path A playoff final. So that's what it is. The winner of each path will host the playoff final, and the winner of semi-final 1 will be away in that one. And now we move on to Path B. The winner of semi-final 3, that's Ukraine or Poland, will host the final. And winner of Ukraine or Sweden will host the playoff final. And so now we go on to Path C. So as Martin unscrews the yellow balls, and the winner of semi-final 6, that's Slovakia or Kosovo will host the playoff semi-finals. Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina will host the Path A playoff final, and Poland or Albania will host, and Ukraine or Sweden will host the Path B playoff final. Now we go on to Path D, and semi-final 5 will be Turkey or Romania will be away. So now we move on to the final path. That's Path D. Who will host the playoff final? And our answer: the winners of semi-final 8. That will either be Czechia or the Republic of Ireland, and Denmark Denmark or North Macedonia will be away. Let's run this through one more time. Wales or Bosnia and Herzegovina will host the Path A playoff final. Path B final will be hosted by either Ukraine or Sweden. For Path C, it'll be Slovakia or Kosovo, and the Republic, and for Path D, it will be Czechia or the Republic of Ireland. So with all that out of the way, that concludes our draw. That concludes our coverage of the European playoff draw for the 2026 World Cup. Don't forget, we will also be doing our alternative audio coverage of the World Cup group stage draw on December the 5th. The coverage will begin at 5 o'clock UK time. But we will be doing plenty more Commentary Hub matches until then. So until next time, join us for our until next time, do join us for our next alternative audio coverage. That's it. And I've only just remembered, it will be on Sunday, the 23rd of November. the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. Join myself and Paul James for that one. So now I can officially say that our coverage is now done and dusted. I've been Nicholas Jones. Take great care, and we'll see you on Sunday. Until then, goodbye.